Welcome to Bliss Boss Talks. I'm your host, Jaya Rose, a life coach, speaker, doTERRA team leader, and a mama of two free-spirited girls. And you are in the right place if you are ready to live your dreams without sacrificing your needs. I'm going to be talking to other soulful leaders who are walking the talk, and we are touching on all things personal development, spirituality, and what it really takes to be the boss of your bliss. Are you ready? Let's go. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Bliss Boss Talks. I am really excited to bring you an interview with I'm honored to say friend, and also somebody who I actually stalked on live video before we ever met, Nichole Sylvester.
Hi, thank you.
I remember seeing one of your videos. I remember where I was laying on the fold-out couch in our basement for some reason, just watching like obsessively your video, and you just hit me. I don't even know what you were saying, but you're so good at that, at just showing up and being really authentic. I know everyone tries to do that, but like for some reason you pull that off so well. So that is the intro to you. Yeah. And then I reached out to you and was like, hi.
Yeah. You know, I was working at like my part-time job at the time. It was a while ago. It was early on in my business. And I remember you reached out, and then here we are.
Yeah, that's amazing. The power though of the relationships that are possible, being formed on the internet. Like, it's so cool.
And you helped me get my podcast going because
yes,
we got together, and then I told you what I wanted to do. You told me a person that could help me.
Yeah.
And look, now here we are.
I know.
I love that.
So cool. So you have had a lot of change and growth, both physically, mentally, emotionally, in your business, everything, right? In the last, did you feel like you kind of hit, would you say it was like the last 3 months, or has there been a real rapid growth pattern for you in a certain amount of time?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's been like the past, what year is it? I'm like, wait, I feel like it's been the past year. It's been pretty fast, but there was like some lulls, like when I was finishing my book. But I'd say since my book came out in May, it's been pretty cool how things are happening.
So what's up with your book? I mean, I know the story of what's happened since you wrote it, but I don't think I really know. And I bet it would be interesting for people to hear about, like, what was the inspiration for you and that, and then also how did you stay focused on it? Because I know that's a huge undertaking.
Yeah. You know, I remember when I first got into the personal development world, I went to like a networking event, and I heard women stand up and like share their story. And I was like, oh, that's okay to share that. Like, we share those things because these are things that I like hide and don't tell anyone. And it was like, I remember sitting there like one day I would like to do that, but nothing happened for probably like another 2 years. And then I began, like, it became more real that one day I could write a book. One day I would share, one day I would come out. And that was just something that like slowly started. But then when I started my business and I came out about my truth that like I suffered with addiction, I have had break these generational patterns of domestic violence and all of those truths, I knew that I had to share a book to give the depth of it so people could understand where I came from, where I am now, and what's possible for all of us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was a period of time where it sort of was born and then grew. What about the actual, right? So cool. What about the actual process? How long did it take you to write it?
It took me about 2 years, although I wrote 2 manuscripts essentially, and I didn't write all the way through. But from start of me being like, I'm going to write this book, I started January 2016 after I went to a Tony Robbins UPW event. I was like, I have to write this book. And I went home and started. And then there were periods of time where I was just sick of it and didn't want to do it, or I felt lost and didn't know how to continue. And I hired someone to help me with my book, and it didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. And then I had to start again. So it was a pain in the ass process, but I knew that the truth about my business and what I envisioned for myself as a speaker, as a teacher, all that required me to deliver this.
And so is that something? Yeah. Is that the driving force? Like, what was your driving force?
Well, that would be a driving force, as I knew it was just like, if I wanted to play my biggest, I had to get this out, and I had to be vulnerable, and I had to share. And also I'd say the other driving force was like me knowing, like there were times where I did have breakdowns writing my book, just because I was like, why am I writing this? I don't know if I want to put these things out there. I felt too exposed. And what happened is I just had these moments where I just reflected on times when I read books that changed my life and that gave me hope. And I knew that my book was going to be that for people, and that like I had like a mandate that I had to do it.
Yeah.
So I did it.
Is it a similar driving force and passion that you have around your business and your core message and the work you do in the world?
Yeah, I mean, some of the things I do with my work seem more fun though, like teaching money mindset seems more fun than writing that book. But the book was like for people, for a lot of people that read my book will never be people that hire me as a coach, and they're not meant to.
Yeah.
We're not meant to work together. They're not meant to come to any of my live events, but they need the message. Because maybe they're struggling with addiction, or maybe they have shame around being in a series of abusive relationships. They'll never get to me in that way, but this is my way of serving them and still sharing hope. And it's something that can live on so much further than any of our like social media stuff, you know?
Yeah, it's true. And you're right. It's like not everybody is going to join a program or coach with you. And it is awesome to have something for people who need, it's almost like an ignition or something, right? Like a spark for people. And is that kind of the feedback you've gotten from people?
Yeah, it's been crazy, because I've had people write me things like, I never told my daughter about my past, or I never told my family about my past, or I didn't think that I could ever have a life beyond this. And watching what happened with you, like now I know that everything that happened to me is okay. And then I've had women that are like, I've had a crystal clear past with like a great family, which is nothing like I've had, but watching what you've been through, it's like reminding me I need to show up differently in life, that I can do more. So yeah, I mean, it's been really powerful. But I will say this, that for anyone that's ever been called to write a book, some people say, well, I don't have a story like yours. My belief is that we all have stories, and we're all humans, and we're all here to help each other move through life. And that's what books are about to me.
Right. Because that's so poignant to say, oh, I haven't had abuse and addiction in the way that you talk about in the book. And yet you're right. Just maybe what I need out of it is that, well, geez, my excuses suck. You know?
Yeah, some people have that. And some people don't. Here's the thing. I don't ever pick up books on addiction and abuse. I don't want to read those books. I have, like, if I look at my thing, I have Creating Money. I have Have Your Pocket Full of Money. I'm like, how do I make millions of dollars? That's what I want to read about. Yeah. But, you know, so everyone's different, and because not everyone's going to want to read my book. And the thing is, I wrote it because I knew someone needed it. And, you know, there were times in my life where I needed to read that, because I need to know, like, that I'm not alone in these things. So I think for anyone like that's like, I don't know, a book is so like hard to write, just start. And even it's funny because right now I'm leading 16 people through writing a book over 9 months.
Amazing.
Because I believe in it so much. Yeah.
So cool. I remember us talking about that when we went to the beach. Amazing. I love that. So I want to shift gears a little bit. And you mentioned how you teach money mindset, and you just said that you want to make $1 million. And so, or I don't know if you did say 1 million.
I said millions.
Millions. Yeah. I was going to say that seemed small when I said it out loud. Yeah. So let's talk about money for a second, because I do feel like it is such a hot button, you know, for everybody really. And so I know that you didn't come from lots of money, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And so in your process of expanding your own money mindset and coming to a point where you could just casually say, I'm going to make millions, and not be triggered yourself, right? And not feel like an edge around that. Like, what has that process been like for you?
It's been like a commitment just to removing any sort of belief, energetic barrier that makes me feel like money is not something I should have. Money is not something I'm capable of, but also just looking for the places where I'm still triggered by money stuff. And before it would be like, I actually did a Facebook Live about this because I have a money challenge that's happening. And people are like, is this the same as the abundance challenge? No, because abundance and money, it's different. Money is, you know, this part of abundance, but it's like with abundance, I used to be like, I want an abundant life. And then I would be like, I want to make $10,000 a month. Then I'm like, I want to make $100,000 a month. Now I'm like, I'm a multimillionaire. You know, it's like you have to, and there were places where before that would make me feel like a punch in the gut, right? But it's all a process. And there's just like, you know, it's like committing to it and committing to looking for the good and the truth of your value versus looking for, do I have a money block? What's wrong with me? Why don't I have this? So, but I just think money is just a thing of like playing and experimenting and just seeing how much we can make with our gifts that we have to share.
Mm-hmm. And why is it important to you? What's important about doing that work and making money? Like, who are you as a wealthy person? Hey, so sorry to interrupt. I hope you're loving this episode and make sure to stick around for the rest of it. I just wanted to pop in and let you know that I have a beautiful free resource for you. All you need to do is head over to thejayarose.com and scroll down till you see the invitation to download the Bold Self Playbook. In this playbook, I walk you through the 5 mindset principles that will help you embody your most powerful self and magnetize your dreams. This is a game changer, and you must have these 5 mindset practices and principles in place to really take it to the next level and truly be embodying that version of yourself you're ready to step into. So head on over to thejayarose.com and download it. Can't wait to hear what you think and keep on listening.
Whoever I want to be.
Yeah. Is that part of it?
That freedom. Yeah. It's like, to me, I'm going to be me whether I have little money or a lot of money. And, you know, all of that is relative. But I like the feeling of like, you know, do we want to go to Paris in November? Do I want to go to Bali to study with this guy in February? Do I want to go to New York for this? Like, I get to do whatever I want. And I like that freedom of like, I don't want to limit my experiences in life because of money. And that would only be me denying how powerful I am. And it's not just me, it's all of us. Our creative power. So it's like, rather than dismissing all of the ideas I have, rather than limiting them and thinking that I can only do this or only do that, what if I just fully played and like expanded my container to express and receive more? So I'm just constantly in that. And it's a process to unlock and unfold and allow.
Yeah. Like you said, you started where you were. And when you first started, did you kind of stay at the same place? I guess I'm relating it to my own story, of course, and thinking, well, I always call it, you know, I played small. I played small for so many years. I made $30,000 to $40,000 a year for 10 years doing the same thing. There was no growth. And there was growth other places in my life. I was still a happy, growing person. I just hadn't realized what was possible, you know? And so do you have a similar thing to that where you had a belief and then it like became this open doorway to what could be more possible than what you had believed?
Yeah, in a way. Like for me, I had money off and on. I mean, because before in my story, I share this, that my ex and I sold a lot of drugs. I already made $1 million before. And we would, you know, like the people that worked at the Gucci store, at the Caesar's Forum shops, they knew our names. They knew my daughter's name. So like I had no problem buying $800 shoes, $2,000 bags. Like I did those things, but I did it with a different energetics. And I always felt still lack. And so then when I lost all my money and I had to restart my life and you know, everything went to hell and I had an awakening years later, I had this judgment that these things were bad. I associated like wanting money and having the nice things as like me being not my spiritual self. And even when I worked in a nightclub, just, I don't know, was it like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe, or 6 years ago? I don't know, but I still made almost 6 figures doing that. But it was like always in the struggle energy. Like when I looked out into the world, it was like, I didn't have it. Like I looked at money as like, it was hard to get. Where now I like look at things that I want and I have a desire and I'm like, okay, how can I afford that? And then I start playing with like, everything I see right now is super limited. Like if I brought a billionaire in here and we were rearranging my business, what would we see differently? And so I just started playing with reality. And, you know, it takes time to just, sometimes we have these quantum leaps where all of a sudden it's like a big aha, which I'm sure you've had, where you're like, holy crap, this is available to me. And we make a shift. And then sometimes it's it feels like it's inching along.
Yeah. Well, I love that you just talked about the struggle, and like, it's not that money won't come to you if you're in a struggle or even a poverty mentality around it.
Yeah.
But it is about the fulfillment we feel. You know how they say, money doesn't make you happy. Well, that's kind of not true, because a lot of the things, freedom makes you happy. I mean, maybe.
Yeah. Well, you get to invest in
I
things
get,
that feel good.
yeah, it can make you happy. It can increase happiness. That's just true. But I think it is really a beautiful thing to understand the difference between the struggle and the ease, or the flow, or however you call it. So, I mean, we're kind of getting into more the masculine, feminine. And I'm wondering for you, where you started, do you feel like where you've gotten to right now is more on a masculine or feminine, or you have more of a balance? Like, what is your relationship like with that?
The truth is, I hate those terms.
Tell me.
I feel like we are too complex to be trying to fit on the right or the left.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels limiting to me. And I get sick of everyone trying to project all this feminine, masculine. And then I think of like the doshas in like Ayurvedic talk, which like totally opened my mind to like the different doshas and energies. And there's 3 of them versus like these 2. And that it's not like we float in and out of all of them. So I would say that the way I create is very feminine, because I'm willing to sit and trust. And I know that everything is coming from like this like place I need to access.
Yeah.
But then I can be very masculine. But if we were talking about the doshas, it would be like the pitta dosha, which is like execute.
Yeah.
And I know how to push my own buttons to get things done.
Mm-hmm. So I know it is interesting to talk about the idea that it's like the labels, right? Because, but at the same time, I do feel like there is value for people who are first identifying things.
Yeah. They're
right?
real.
It's like
they're real, right? Like,
right.
The essences of that essences are there, but like, I feel like it's something to look at and to like play with, but don't get too caught up in it.
Right. No, it's like to wake you up to say, or even it's like, what kind of body type am I? Or what? I mean, we do put all these labels, but at the same time, we are human, and most people need some type of label to cling to create a change. Yeah. Like it creates a form for them, but you're right. Then it's like, but then you let go, because you obviously are so much more than any label we could put on you. I do feel like there is a whole thing that happens online, especially with business, where it is that more push, like, let me do it just exactly the way someone says to do, instead of really honoring the intuition and flow. Like, I feel like there's a shift happening. And I know I've heard you talk about that before, how you were shifting into that more. So I do think there's,
I feel like, oh no, go ahead.
Just that there's value,
Yeah, I think that the reason why we are pushed to do those things and to hire other people, and like, look, I'm a coach and I love taking on new clients, but I always know that I can't tell my clients exactly what's right for them. I'm here to like be the container to remind them that they need to tap into themselves and learn to access different parts of themselves. But in the online space, there's such a push of like, it's not going to be successful. I was thinking about this guy that tagged me the other day. He tagged me in something and it says, find out what you're missing from this and that. We're like, what if I wasn't missing anything? What if I wasn't missing anything in my process? What if it's just unfolding? And the reason why I haven't made $6 million already is just because that's my path and that's my process. And there's lessons to be learned, and that we can't just microwave everything.
I love that, because I never have resonated with the whole, these are your pains and this is why you have to coach with me, because without me, you're never going to succeed. And like, I never hire somebody for those reasons. I hire somebody because I am tired of holding my vision alone. And I'm just like, will you hold this with me? Cause like, Lord knows my husband can't hold it all, like that's too much.
And my daughter, like that's such a good point. Cause that is really how it feels for me. When I hired my first coach, it was like, gosh, like this is hard by myself. Like someone come in and remind me that I'm stronger than I think sometimes. And that, remind me that the path, and like, I think of, with my coach, and sometimes I think that I'm ready for all these big things. And then I think about his path and some of the people he's worked with. And I'm like, they've had so many more steps to get there. And like, you just have to be patient and trust your path. And someone always doesn't have the next step for you.
Yeah. Yeah. So you do coaching. Like, what does your business model look like these days?
Business model is group programs. I love groups. I take on private clients here and there, just when it feels good. Live events, like I have a live event happening in Philly. It's like a 1-day kind of retreat.
Mm-hmm.
International retreats I've done too. It's really what I'm inspired, but now my business is going to be 3 years on October 1st. So I'm starting to find like the things I like, the things that will keep running. And I've just started to get there. So there's that. And then speaking and my podcast, like things are starting to just open up there. Mm-hmm. And of course my book is a income stream. So
yeah. Yeah. So that's a lot of different stuff. So you just pick what you feel inspired to do. And you're like, that's what I'm going to do next.
I was really like that before, but now I'm starting to like know, like, for instance, I know people needed a money mindset thing. And I asked, like, what did you want? Because I was like thinking, like, do I want to do a meditation challenge? Or do I want to do money mindset? And I asked on Instagram, and I used to never ask. I was like, I'm just going to lead by what I feel inspired.
Yeah.
I was like, let me get out of the way and just see what people want. I know you do that. Like, I used to always be resistant towards it. But like 87% people wanted money mindset. So I was like, okay, I know that like every time I do it, it's incredibly popular. And so I was like, let me do it, but a different shift this time with it. So it's starting to be like what the people want, and just it's always in like what I'm in. It's always going to be something that excites me though, or I will not do it.
Totally. That totally makes sense. So that brings me to inspiration. I mean, to be able to say that I do what excites me, you first of all have to be able to be excited, right? You have to have a certain level of getting out of your own way, and then the practices that create that. At least that's how it works for me. So I'm curious for you. I would love to know, like, what are your practices and what are your non-negotiables?
Non-negotiable is just my happiness, I would say, because it's floating. Like I need a lot of alone time. Mm-hmm. I like a lot of quiet time. I like self-care, massages, floating, stuff like that. But there's nothing like, I'm not a very rigid person. So I'm like, I like things to be my way, but I'm not super rigid. So I'm not like at 6 a.m. I'm with my journal, and I'm not like that. Yeah. But it's like, I would say that I'm easy. I will cancel plans. I will care for myself. And when it comes to getting excited, you bring up a good point, because we have to learn how to turn on our excitement. Mm-hmm. If we want to be successful. And it's like, even this week I was sharing like, that it was kind of a challenging week for me, but I had already just spent basically a week prepping to launch this money mindset thing. And I had to launch it, but I wasn't like really what I really wanted to do was put on a sweatsuit and like relax in my bed. Right. But I was like, you know what? I was called to do this, or I would have never spent the last week doing it. Right. And I know people need it. So let me turn it back on. What do I need to focus on to get excited here? Yeah. That's what I do. So what do? Because I know for me, I'm highly sensitive. And so if I get out of alignment, I can't just muscle myself back in, that doesn't work that way. So I mean, essential oils are huge for me, eating really healthy, exercise. I just know the things that are the bare minimum for me. Yeah. And then it keeps it so that I can deal with life in a really fun, positive way, you know? No, I mean, I'm sensitive. I don't muscle through for the most part. I don't muscle through, but what I do is I'm down to rest and down to just turn off everything for a little bit. Yeah. I'm just like, rest. Okay, today's not the day. I'm not going to push. And then there's other days where, here's what I know, that I'm always more capable than I think I am. And I know that I can always do more than I think I can. So sometimes I do tap back in, and I stop staying in the story that like, oh my God, I'm out of alignment, so I'm not going to create anything. That sometimes is bullshit. Right. So it's like, can I show up and get excited? And mostly I focus on either the outcome that I am excited about from this, or the people that are going to get the results of whatever I'm about to do. Yeah. Oh, that's so huge and so good. I do feel like I've, in my business, morphed more into like just focusing on how do you get out of your own way, because I just feel like everything. It is. It's like, and like you just said, it's like you're sensitive and you need to honor that. But then sometimes it's an excuse just to stay invisible or something, So it is so much just awareness, right?
Wouldn't you say
It
that's like the
is.
key?
And it's like with spiritual entrepreneurs, especially because so many people are stuck in, and that's why I love working with spiritual entrepreneurs, because so many people get stuck in this processing part of spirituality.
Mm,
And they're like, yeah, but I'm feeling this, so I need to sit and be with it. Sometimes you need to shake it off.
yeah.
Sometimes you need to go really into it, feel the pain, cry about it, scream about it, and then stand up and say, this will not win.
Yeah. Right. It's like I tell people to set a timer. I'm like, okay,
Oh yeah,
great.
I've seen you say that before.
You're like,
Yeah,
your
that's perfect.
feelings are hurt. I understand, but you know what perpetual hurt feelings is a big fat excuse to not show up for your gifts.
Yeah,
Right?
and it's
Period.
choosing suffering.
It is. Right. And it's like hurt. Yeah. I just had this conversation with a client. I'm like, hurt feelings. No.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Like like we have to honor them to move through them,
Yes.
but get the lesson, get the thing you need from it.
Yeah.
And then it's like moving on. And some
Yeah.
days you're going to move on really hard and you'll get a lot done. And some days it's just responding to a couple emails, but you got to know overall, like, it's like, and this is what I do for me is I just look at like, am I really showing up for the life that I say that I want and the life that really excites the hell out of me? Because it's only me that's going to get me there.
Yeah. That's so good. That's such a good question because it's like, it's clear, right? It's no.
Yeah. It's like, this is not getting me to that thing I said I wanted. So it's not going to
Right.
fall out of the sky for me.
All right. Okay. So I'm curious. You just said that you're the only one going to get you there. And I believe that because I mean, I believe that for someone who's married like me too, where it's like, of course I am the one responsible for my life and my business. And at the same time, you are single. Is that true?
I am.
Okay.
Yes.
So what do you think about that? What's your, where are you with that? You want to be single for a while? Or are you on the
I
hunt?
mean, I'm not on a hunt. I actually had a conversation with my friend last night that I was like, I would love to have someone that is like a partner with me, but like at the same time, when I write down my vision and my, like, what I'm excited about and intention kind of thing, like relationships fall at like number 6 or 7.
Mm,
Because the things that really excite me are like, I want to be on Reese's book club. I want to be
mm,
like, on a Super Soul. Like there's
yeah.
things that really excite me that I'm holding the vision for. And I think I just have such a trust in life that I just know that like just saying yes to love and saying yes to everything. Like, cause I feel like love, that you can have a life full of love without having a partner,
Yeah.
that you can be having this deep intimacy and connection with self, with spirit, with your friends, with your kids, if you have them, with your clients, and be in a place of overflow. But it doesn't mean that we're deficient if we don't have
Mm-hmm.
a love partner at the time. And I think
Totally.
that's a big disconnect. And I think that's why a lot of people are suffering in relationships,
Mm-hmm.
rushing and playing around on Tinder and Bumble and things like that. And like, I have to tell you a funny story that when I went on to those things one time, I had men on my Instagram like, your thing helped me get through a bad day. What do you think about this? And I'm like, I got to get off the apps because they're all connected to Instagram. And I just realized that like, I'm not an average, I don't live my life like an
Yeah.
average person, and I can't date like an average person.
No, you can't. No.
So I just fell back into trust, and like, that's really where I'm at. So I'm open
Mm,
to whatever life has for me, but I just
mm-hmm.
focus on making me the best version of me
Yeah.
and being an enjoyment.
I mean, can you make a program about that or something? Because I feel like people need that. It's so
I never
true.
really thought about
A
it.
stigma that you can only be happy with somebody. And I think you brought up such a cool perspective that you're like, my vision is to be on Super Soul Sunday, right? Like that vision is going to come true. And I know for me that when I really did want to get married again and have another baby. And I was, 35 at the time. And I actively manifested my husband. I mean, I even have a
Yeah.
YouTube video on it. And I knew that that's what I was focusing on. And it worked. Like we're
Yeah.
happy and it's been 7 years and I'm like still excited every time he walks in the room. And that's
Yeah.
a freaking miracle. So,
Yeah.
but like that came with intention and focus. And then once I found him, even just a year and a half, 2 years later is when I was like done with playing small. And now I've gone all in on my purpose and all this stuff. But for me, I had to do it in that order. And I did kind of have to do one thing at a time. So I do feel like it's such a good reminder to say, but what is your primary focus and intention?
Yeah. And I don't think we have to like really, because there's been times where people have asked me about this in ways like, yeah, but you say you have everything. Like I really feel really fulfilled in life and I feel like blessed and excited. And I just find it funny how people think that there's something that's deficit if you don't have that. But like, why would we rush that? It's just like I said with business or with everything. I think that our desires are for us and they come in a sequence that is for us to fulfill our greatest whatever. Now, even Super Soul and these things, they're just like accolades, but like really what comes with those things is like, okay, your book will probably sell like 2 million copies. You're going to be like out there like this. But when I look at really what's important to me is like Chanel and me being healthy, happy, me feeling strong, me feeling aligned. And I just feel like life is going to surprise us. You can say you want these things, but at the end of the day, like life delivers what needs to be delivered.
It's so true. It's so good. And I feel like Super Soul Sunday for you, yes, it is an accolade. And yes, you will sell more books. But I think the bigger question is, who will you be? Like, who is Nichole to get to that point? And you know that because that's a spiritual process. That's growth for you to hold the vibration of being that person. Like that's probably more the goal. Am I right?
I mean, yeah, so it's like deeper. And that's what I was like pointing out is like, there's something, and who knows why that is a desire or what birthed that in me, but it's there. And when I write down things, I was just like, as I was telling my friend last night at dinner, I just have to be realistic. Like there's a reason why manifesting my soulmate is not number one. I don't know why, but it's just, I trust in whatever, and maybe that me 2 years ago is where 2 years from now is who I need to be to manifest the man that is supposed to be with me. Who knows? But I feel like there's so many women out there that are suffering because they think there's a deficit because of that.
Yep. It's so true. And let's be real. You need a strong ass man. You need the type of man who's going to be like at Super Soul Sunday, like for a reason, he's going to be interviewed.
Like, but I want him to be like, putting my Instagram stories up and helping me and like being like supportive, not like, why are you always on Instagram? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But, he's going to have to be in it with you for sure.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing, but I do know this is like, one thing I've developed just over time is I never knew that I was going to be doing what I'm doing and living how I'm living. I don't know where the hell I'm going to be in 5 years and I'm okay with it. But all I know is like when a desire is born, can I have the guts to show up for it?
So good.
And that's what I do. So that's where I'm at day by day.
Mic drop. I love it. That is, I don't have anything else to say now. And bye. Well, everyone's going to be obsessed with you now. I know you did probably saw that I posted and a couple people were like, you guys are my favorites. And so I just, so good. So let's tell people where they can get in touch with you and let everybody know that they should definitely tag this on Instagram. You'll probably put it on your story. I'll put it on my story.
I'm going to share in my email list and all that. So you can find me. Everything is really easy because it's my name, Nichole Sylvester, but I'm Nichole with an H. So Nichole. And you can find me. I play a lot on Instagram and on Facebook, but I also have a podcast, O Shift Show, and my website. My website always has whatever's going on, like my latest challenge, like I have the money shift happening. So all those things. I
love it. And Facebook, you do a lot of Facebook Lives.
Yeah, did I not say that? Yeah, Facebook, definitely.
Follow her personal page on Facebook.
Yeah.
That's where I fell in love.
Yeah, that's what
I say. So good. I'm just really grateful for you. I mean, you're such a beautiful example of living your truth at any cost, even if it looks crazy to someone else or, is going to be judged. And I see that holding so many people back that even if that's all you did is to show up doing you in a powerful way and sharing that, like you've created a legacy and you've gone above and beyond that. And so I just want to, just to really honor you for that. And I know everyone will feel the energy and
No, I just appreciate you and you do the same. And that's the great thing. That's why we can sit here and have this beautiful conversation is just women just showing up and being like, change my mind now. I'm going to do something else. Or I love this. I'm going to get excited about it. And like just giving permission just to be whatever the heck we want. And that's good enough.
Yes. Yeah. And it's freaking amazing.
Yeah. It's the only thing to do. It's the only way to be.
It is. It is. Yes. That's what I'm excited for everyone to check out your podcast too, because I know this will inspire.
Thank you. And you're going to be on there soon.
Yeah. Then cross-pollination, baby.
We are.
So thank you so much for being here. And thank you to everyone who has been listening. And we'll see you on the next episode of Bliss Boss Talks. Yay. Thanks so much for listening and being here. And if you loved this episode, please take a moment to rate it on iTunes. I feel so honored when I read your reviews, and I would love to feature you on the podcast as a spotlight review. Also, find me on Instagram at Jaya Rose, and I would be so excited to share your story into my story. I just love seeing the feedback and that you're listening. So share it out on social media. Share it with somebody who you think it could benefit, because us showing up for other people is what this is all about. It's a ripple effect of change, and we do that by sharing. So thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time on Bliss Boss Talks.